it's one of them ones, man. It was good to get that win on Gerrard's testimonial. And it was just a shame Stevie G didn't score, but you could see he was very emotional on the day. So, and more power to him. Steven Gerrard is a player that, whilst I've been supporting Liverpool, I've seen him from the start, and he's not finished yet. That's the interesting thing. So him and Carragher, I've seen them guys kind of break into the team and really develop as players. Carragher's someone who I've modelled my game after, and the G-Man has seen the way I play. So it's one of them ones. But I mean, testimonials used to be something that you kind of look forward to, a badge of honour. I mean, these days, footballers are mercenaries and they'll just go where the money is, as the £50 million J. Brown Torres show. But among others as well, there are many, many others, but I just like that example. But it's one of them was where, G-Man, I don't know if you agree with me, but it's one of them was, a testimonial used to be a badge of honour because it used to show that you were loyal to that club through thick, through thin, and you'd been there a decade. You don't stay at a club for a decade unless you love that club. So yeah. it's one of them was. But for me, the mood in current football has just completely changed. It's not about loyalty to the club; it's loyalty to the almighty buck. Yeah. But G-Man, would you agree with that?
No, I definitely agree with it because I've heard Lee Dixon speak about it. I've heard Lee Dixon speak about it. I've heard Tony Adams speak about his. You know, I know when like Dennis Bergkamp's came around. You know, yeah. For me, it's like the most disappointing thing was like when Henry. He's had 8 years at Arsenal. He was 2 years away from his testimonial. Yeah. Thought it was going to be coming in 2 seasons. He left to go Barcelona. Yeah. And, you know, that sort of culture, when big players like that do move on, when they've got something big like that coming up, you know, that sort of culture just showed that the game was just moving in a different direction. And I know many other clubs would have their certain players of the same sort of stature where they've spent 8-9 years and it looked like they're going to have a testimonial. And it used to be such a big thing back in just before the mid-90s. You know, when you used to hear these testimonials coming up, because it used to be the clubs, it's more the club was endorsing that player for having him for so long rather than trying to make a penny off his back. That's the way I looked at it personally. I don't know if anyone else sees it differently. Like you said, you pointed out the players themselves being mercenaries, so they're moving on for the big buck. But I just look on it like it's like when you spent 50 years working and you know you leave a company and then they go and give you something at the end of it for doing a good service for the club. You know, you didn't just leave for the bigger buck and move on to a different company or something like that. So it's that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I mean, loyalty is just so fleeting in football nowadays. It's untrue, and it's sad. I think it's sad. Those bygone days, even well, I mean, I've only been following football since '94, since I was 8. So it's a case of I got in kind of late. But at the end of the day, like loyalty, even in the 90s, it was still a big thing. Even though there was the influx of foreign players jumping clubs and that, there was still certain players who started in like the mid to late 90s who were loyal to their clubs. John Terry being another one. I remember him starting in like 97. I think it was in either a League Cup or an FA early rounds of the FA Cup. Yeah. Where he started and it was like, oh, okay, John Terry. Oh, all right. and look at years later, he's still there. Yeah. So I don't know, man. But it's one of them ones. It's one of them ones, man. It's just a real shame.